Hey guys, this is a video on how to scale pistol squats or single leg squats. So anytime that you have a gymnastics movement, the first thing you should do is to break that movement into its component parts. So let me show you how that will look into the pistol squat. So a pistol squat is a movement that is composed by two positions. The first position is this position in which one of your legs is in the air, right? And you're just balancing with hips open on the support leg. That is it, simple, position A. The position B is here. So I'm on the ground and I'm balancing on this leg. My foot is forward and it's not touching the ground, right? And the pistol squat is the transfer between those two positions, position A and position B. That is it. Very simple movement, right? Because what you should look and what you should know about this movement is, of course, the prime movers are gonna be the leg that is on the ground, and things that you should track is that there's gonna be internal rotation of the hip, right? So when you go down, you will see that my hip is going in, right? It's going in and not out like you will do in a squat. Those are things that you wanna keep, because those are things that, like, in your scale, in your scales, you're gonna wanna look for. Good. Those are the first things. Those will also guide your scale. So the first thing is, when you get into an athlete that has never done pistols or like has done, but like you're thinking about what scale to use, is, can my athlete achieve those two positions? If my athlete cannot achieve those two positions, that's where I start, right? So for the pistol squat, most athletes will be able to stand with just one foot in the air. This position is not gonna be a problem. But for most athletes, this position is gonna be a problem. So how to find if an athlete can achieve that bottom position in a pistol squat? Very simple. Start with a narrow squat here. So that means that both my legs are down, and if my athlete can achieve a lot of depth there, most people will stay here. But if my athlete can achieve a lot of depth, ask them to see if they can even just go with your leg, with their leg a little forward. They don't need to have it foot in the ground. If they can, that's excellent. They have the flexibility, they have the balance to hold that position. So the next step will be to see if, like, what kind of aid do they need to get from between those two positions. What you'll find is that most people cannot find that bottom position on the bottom of a pistol squat. That is the first challenge. And this can be mainly because of two reasons. So the first reason is that people don't have the ankle flexibility to get there. How do you know if this is the case? Do an ankle flexibility test. Check online for that. You know, like, get the knee to the wall kind of test. But also you can know that very easily if it's the typical athlete that will tell you, like, let me get a stack of 5 plates, and they get a stack of 5 plates and then they can achieve that position. That's a flexibility issue. The second issue could be balance. And so if you give an athlete a plate and you tell them, okay, push it out and then try to get into that position, or even just here and push the foot out, and they can, you know it's a balance issue. And so what you'll do with those two cases is different, right? And so just do that check and keep that in, like, take your notes and do your mental notes. Good. If you have time before your workout to just spend a lot of time on pistols, then address the flexibility issues with flexibility drills, address the balance drill with balance drills. Balance drills are going to be drills in which you use a counterbalance weight, for example, on the plate, to achieve that good position. But let's say that you are already into your workout and you need to find scales. So we're gonna start with the most difficult scales and go all the way down. So the first thing that you're gonna try to ask from your athletes, and this applies for either an athlete that doesn't have that, this applies to all the athletes that cannot achieve that bottom position with comfort, either because of flexibility or balance. This applies for both. So the first thing that we're gonna try is to do a toenail squat. So for a toenail squat, the right foot is going to be in the air, but it's behind, and I'm going to go down as low as I can and up. And what you'll see is that all the mechanics of the pistol squat, apart from the extension of the leg in front, are there. The hip is externally rotated. I'm achieving very similar position, my requirements on flexibility are there, my requirements on balance change a little bit. That's the first thing. So let's say that your athlete can do that, great, that's your scale, simple. Let's say that your athlete kind of can, but like not really. Try to ask them to support this back leg on top of the leg that is on the ground, right? That would make it a little bit easier. If they can, great. If they cannot, the next skill will be to have the foot on the ground and just squat down. What you have to be careful is that people will tend to go either too much far here, or they will try to make this into a lunge, right? And we don't want a lunge. If we want a lunge, we want a lunge. So ask them to have the foot very close, those feet are very close together, so that like they get internal rotation, they get everything that we want. Good. If your athlete can do any of this, you're golden. And this drill itself is gonna help your athlete with the squat. And because you did a screening before, you'll be able to know if this athlete that can do any of these skills needs to work on balance or on flexibility, and that would be great. Probably if they can do a 200 squat, they should not gonna be flexibility, it's mostly gonna be balance. Good. Good. Next scale will be to use a band, and I would like you to be very careful with this, because this one can be overused and can be used stupidly. So a pistol with a band, like you see me, it's good to develop strength. It's good for people that have good positioning, that has good balance, but for whom the movement itself is a little hard. So I wouldn't use this for a person that doesn't have a good range of motion down there. So if for a person that like doesn't have an even like this kind of squat, or like they cannot achieve this, I wouldn't use that. People can do pistols with bands, like you can pretty much put anybody if you give them enough of a band, but you're gonna be missing the point, because they're gonna be relying on the band for both balance, so and flexibility, so they can really shift their weights into the bands, and there's not gonna be internal rotation of the hip, and like it's not gonna be a good replacement for the pistol. But for a person that is very close, that is actually good at toenails, but that can get into the position with the foot forward but lacks just the strength, that raw strength that is required, the band will be a good option. So I will reserve that for them. Good. And then the next scale of the main ones would be a box. And oh, sorry, I forgot to say, for these bands, what I would like is, regardless of who you're giving it to, give the least amount of band possible. Like really make them work, because we don't want to like take too much of the balance aspect of the pistol, right? Like, and so yeah, just keep that in mind. But the last scale of the main ones would be a bench or box scale of box pistol. I would like my athlete to have the foot very, very close to the box. This is why I prefer a bench, because in the bench I can actually can the foot kind of under my butt, like it would be in a regular pistol, and then up, right? So that it's not here, so that they can use a little momentum forward. Is here, is closer to a pistol, right? And what I would do is I would like try to get my athlete as low as possible, and this is great for people for whom the range of motion is really hard, that they're still very far away. Good. That would be the scale. There's a scale that we used to use a lot back in the day in CrossFit, like 6 years ago or some shit like that. When you would see pistols more of a program, people is not programming pistols that often. But when you used to see pistols programmed often, people will use this kind of scale here, right? Like a lateral step or something like that. That scale is not terribly bad, but for people that can do this kind of pistol with good mechanics here, like with the leg, with the foot on the box, and with the leg a little forward and go all the way down. Actually, they're so close to the pistol that a toenail in the air is gonna be better, right? And so the other thing here is that like most people is just gonna get a very short range of motion, and that is gonna work just that little bit range of motion. It's not gonna work the balance or the flexibility that much because most people will compensate by lifting that heel. So in that case, I think they're better served by doing this pistol, right? In which the movement is there, and we're aiding a little bit more the position and developing the strength to get out of that bottom position is actually gonna be more useful here than shortening the range of motion there. Yeah, that is it. So those are my thoughts on how to scale pistol squats. Hopefully this is very useful to you, and hopefully you can expand this technique to scale more gymnastics movement, right? Like, so what you saw there is we look at the positions that we want and then at the transfer of those positions. Take into account that these are skills for a workout. These are not drills to develop a pistol. If you want to find drills to develop a pistol, their repertoire of movements is extensive and like is broad, and you can research online and there's way more drills. These are just skills that will work within a workout. They're not fully replacement for drills. Now that said, the way I think about these drills is that they should help us develop that movement. So they count as drills. It's just that they're not all the drills that you find, right? So just keep that in mind, because you might be like, what about rolls to pistols, right? Like a candlestick roll to a pistol or things like that, right? Awesome, they're valid. What about like a pistol in which you're holding to something? Also valid. But for skills within a metabolic conditioning workout, I think these ones are the best. That is it.